Is it super slow mo for you guys?
Eh,
No,
Yeah, mine
it's
was.
slow because it's boring, much like this podcast. So I think
Ah, I
it fits
see.
perfectly,
Awesome.
actually.
I want some
Yeah,
elevator music next time. I'll make some.
that
all right.
wasn't too far.
How would you guys like a subject that sounds like it's a fucking hentai movie?
I'm ready. Squid Game?
No. Let's
Oh.
see. I'm going to throw this in chat. All right. So there is a town in Brazil. I just posted the link to
Wanted
one of the
young men to
stories for
come
it.
live in all. Dude, this is a cult. This is 100% a fucking cult.
Yeah, it's an all-woman town. In the town themselves, they do have some husbands. They are producing children, but the husbands are only allowed in town like on the weekends, and then they go back to wherever during the week. If they have
What?
a man child when they're 18, they're supposed to leave.
Nice.
Uh, and so there are a large group of women inside the 600 person town that are between the ages of 18 to 35 and looking for love.
Oh yeah, looking for love. Sure they are. You
And
know,
the
Yeah,
town
they're
is
looking
only
for some
functional
dick.
3 weeks out of the month.
yeah, they're looking for love. Sure they are. You know, this just screams of
It's a cult, dude.
it's a
It's a cult.
fucking psychiatrist's dream. I mean, whatever. This stupid ass shit. I'm sick of stupid ass shit like this. It's people looking for fucking attention. It's a social media stunt at best. You know, Mormons and groups like this. Hey, more power to them, man. I mean, seriously, if this is what they want to do, but I ain't getting excited over it. I'm sure there's dudes out there like looking for fucking plane tickets, right? Calm down there, Hank.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go
Noiva
fuck
de
them.
Right?
Cordero. Yeah.
Get
Well,
the
I
fuck
mean,
out.
as far as on the male fantasy list, like no men in the area and all the ladies want your body, that's kind of really high up on the radar.
But
I'm
they
just
also
Yeah.
saying.
have to actually want to fuck you.
Right? That's the thing.
It's not just like a
'cause
given, like, oh, they're
Right.
gonna want to fuck me, dude. Like,
They
I'm
want a dick
definitely
so
going.
bad that, there are very few women out there that need dicks so bad that they'll fuck anything. They're out there, but
No, I mean vibrators exist, so like
there you go.
they changed the whole game up, dude.
I'm sure that place hums at night like a goddamn, like
They have brownouts. They
Right?
have brownouts.
you can hear 530 megahertz of
Well, I
fucking
bet
constantly.
during the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, before lithium batteries became big, I bet you D cells were hard to find in that fucking town.
D cells, Jesus Christ, Doug! What kind
What are
of
you running?
vibrators have you seen?
Briggs and Stratton.
Well, it was like when I became aware of
Pull the choke.
vibrators, it was the
You gotta prime it before you fucking start it out.
yeah, it was the aptly named Hitachi Magic Wand. Which
Oh, that
Oh,
one plugs
magic
in though.
plugged
But
Yeah,
that
I
one
was gonna
plugs in
directly
the
into the
wall.
wall.
Yeah, I don't think any of them ever took D batteries. I have several mag lights that take D batteries, and I'm like, I
You could
mean,
use that. If you're horny
whatever.
enough, I think you could use the mag light with a condom on it.
Well, I've seen some porn that suggests that you are correct, sir. So, I'm not even tell you. Yeah, I mean, I get it, but shit like this has probably existed all over the world for millennia, and this one just, pops up. I'm sure there's more to the story than just what's on the surface, but it makes for great clickbait.
How do they get done? Like, how do they get any work done that 1 week out of the month, though?
Could you what's funny is that, and if you've ever worked in an office with a higher concentration of females to males,
They sync up, dude.
They do sync up. It's actually kind of fascinating.
So the whole town shuts down for a week.
I mean, so you got to wonder, if you've got this many women in town, are their periods syncing up, right? And that's what we were talking about for those of you that may be completely fucking oblivious. Women's menstruation cycles will actually sync up. Moms and daughters, if there's like moms and multiple daughters in the household, I've heard stories. This is anecdotal. Of course, I've never had a period, so there are days that
Yeah,
people think I'm
and
on my fucking period, but
for the record, none of us have ever conducted a scientific study
no,
on
no
this.
sign, no
So,
peer review.
so we're going to give like the massive disclaimer here that
Mhm.
we're not doctors, we're not scientists, and nobody's giving us any money for
I'm just a
research on
lawyer.
the subject.
No, but I'll be more than happy to check you out if you need me to. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't take insurance, but I'll do it for free,
it's all anecdotal.
pro bono.
But apparently, seriously, in the town,
Look, Doug's researched this shit.
No, well,
He's like, plane
the
tickets are
problem-
only $200,
Right.
No, I mean the problem that they're running into, and this is serious. This is not me being extra horny, Doug, or anything else, because of the small
Average
size
horny
of the
Doug.
town, and you know the not wide availability of men. A lot of the men that would be sort of available are related to them. Like everybody's a fucking cousin.
Sure.
So
yeah.
that's why they're trying to
What's
get a
wrong with
little
that?
bit more outside blood. Well, I mean,
I mean, you're from well, you were raised in Alabama, and Adam
So,
was.
I just
a
want
lot
to
of-
say
a lot of
that-
Virginia, West Virginia.
I just want to
Yeah.
say that the first humans definitely fucked their brothers because there weren't any other things to fuck.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's fine.
There's probably some inbreeding. We all got a few, folded genes in there somewhere. So
Folded. Yeah, they're in my.
I knew that.
dresser.
Yeah, you talk gene folding, and immediately somebody goes, "I got some pants and my
Low hanging fruit's what I'm here
Yeah,
for.
I know. I get it. I do. Yeah, and I could definitely see where inbreeding could become a problem with a situation like that. And
Why is the town only women? Like that's never really addressed. It's just like, yep, the town's only women. Anyway, we're looking for young men.
I'd looked into it. Apparently, sometime in the early 1900s, there was a woman who was involved in an adulterous relationship, and fucking town went nuts over it. So she sort of went out to this town, which it's like Nueva de Cordillero.
yeah, Lesbos. It's called
Yeah,
Lesbos.
well, she founded it, and then it more or less became a town that was sort of like a women's refuge, like sort of like you made an entire town, a woman's center for
Sure,
abused, neglected, whatever else.
I got you.
Yeah, so that's how the town grew over time. As as ladies got into bad situations, they would say "fuck it" and I'm going over here.
That's kind of
And-
neat.
and they kind of made a town out of it.
Yeah, that's but now it's kind of like, huh.
Huh. We can't expand without some cock.
Right? I mean, just saying, if everyone was, asexual, celibate, homosexual, we humans would have died out a long time ago, but here we are just breeding like a virus.
Well, sex is obviously very important to the species, but like just on a social level, sex is hugely important. Let's look at it this way: you've got vitamins, you've got antibiotics, you've got antidepressant meds, you've got everything in the world that comes in pill form, including erectile dysfunction. But only one thing universally is known as the pill. And when somebody says the pill, they're talking about birth control.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a clusterfuck. What the pill, really what all we'll say chemical forms of birth control do to women is fucked up. When I dated a woman and she got her tubes tied, and the doctor was like, she had been on the pill or like IUD, something along those lines, chemical, for 30 years, right? And doctors are like, oh yeah, well, you got your tubes tied, you don't need that shit anymore. And for about a fucking year, She had mood swings, depression, hot flashes, et cetera, et cetera. And it was wild to watch. And that led me to watch a documentary, maybe on Netflix, about birth control. And I'm here to tell you, man, I get it. I do, right? I mean, I went and got clipped and had all the complications that I had. And I still, when people say, it was real worth it, wasn't it? Yeah, I don't want kids. But it's a fucked up mess, man. The pill was a fucked up mess. So, and it's
I mean, to make a woman not able to have a kid, you kind of got to fuck them up.
pretty. Yeah, you're
It's
fucking
not
with
like a
nature.
small thing. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And I think that hits it right on the head, man. That is not, you are fucking with Mother Nature right there, man. And
Well,
it
any
ain't.
good.
Go ahead.
Mother Nature. I'm not buying into this whole argument, but if you ever talk to a pharmacist or a doctor, and there is a hormone that is produced by your body or an enzyme that's produced by your body, as soon as you start introducing that from an outside source, what happens is your body just says, well, fuck, we don't have to do that anymore.
Yep.
So,
to some, right. And that's what I mean by Mother Nature. That's
right.
what I mean. I'm just talking natural, just nature in general. Your body, a woman's body produces eggs, and those eggs cling to the uterus, and they get fertilized, and and yada 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 yada. And you're interrupting that. And just like you said, right, testosterone. All through, man, it started when I wrestled in high school. I had a coach that he had a couple guys on fucking steroids, on testosterone.
In high school?
Yes, sir.
He
And
takes this shit a little too seriously.
Dude, I had one of the best coaches ever, and then he quit, or I think he went to a college, if I remember correctly. And the guy that we got to replace him, it was my junior year. And the guy that we got to replace him is why I quit wrestling, because I enjoyed wrestling and I was good at it. But this guy was a cocksucker.
You want to win, don't you? Here,
oh my God. Yeah, he got me down to, I forget what my weight class was, but he's like, if you went down one more weight class, I think I was at like 112. He's like, if you went down one more weight class, you could go to state and all this shit. And I did it because, right? Yeah, exactly. This coach is telling me, this guy that a mentor, and I did. And we were at a sectional, which is like a couple of different high schools. And I think it was like my first match. I had been up in the bleachers sweating, I was trying to get down. And I come down and I get on the mat. Everything got really, really bright and loud. And the next thing I know, I was looking up at the fucking rafters. I just blacked out.
And then you saw the couch.
And then I saw the couch. I was like, wait, where am I?
You're like, oh no, it's sectional.
This black leather. Oh, God damn it. See, I was thinking casting couch.
Yeah, your coach roofied you and then
right, exactly. I was like, God damn it. Not again.
Get me a towel.
But yeah, so he'd pushed another kid, and the kid did it. And this kid was, I don't know, maybe 17, and his body proportions, like he had fucking like ribeyes for pecs, man. It wasn't normal.
Yeah, that's how most people are at 17.
Right, exactly. It was bizarre. And then, so all through my life, I have been offered steroids because of my size. I'm a small guy. So people are like, yeah, you want some tea? You want some tea? No, I don't. First of all, I'm not sticking a needle in myself. It's the reason I'm petrified of fucking diabetes. It's because I don't want to stick myself with a needle. But two, again, watched a documentary. These two dudes, they were big weightlifters, bodybuilders. And they did a documentary because they had been on T for so fucking long. And the whole documentary was about, they were trying to talk people out of it. Because like Doug mentioned, they had been on synthetic testosterone for so long that their bodies went, holy shit, we're way over what we should be. Slow down production. Okay, stop production. Okay, yeah, just don't make any, because we have plenty in our blood right now. And when you do that for so long and then you get off of it, your body's like, what? It will not start making testosterone again.
Yep.
So these guys are now on like maintenance doses of testosterone for the rest of their lives because they fucked with it.
Yeah, but they're swole as fuck.
But they're swole as fuck. Yeah.
Well, and when they try to wean themselves off of it, they'll be slow. It's slow as fuck with tits because gynecomastia is a thing.
Well, and it's there's a lot of side effects, but what people don't talk about, the reason I told that story, the point is that people don't talk about that. If you think about it, right, women are doing the same thing when they're taking estrogen, and I think it's like I can't remember exactly
progesterone.
What it is. Progesterone. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the effectively in its natural state, it is the pregnancy hormone.
Right, and it makes the body so when the eggs drop down, they can't. I think it's that they can't connect to the uterine lining, and they just flush out in the next period. If they even have a period, because again, their body's like, no reason to flush uterine wall because we're pregnant.
Perfect. I mean, that sounds natural, and it should be fine.
And that's the thing, right? Is that over time, you cannot tell me, and I've seen it myself in two women, actually. One I dated, and one's just a friend that were on it. Like most women, they got on it in their teens and just kind of stayed on it. And then something happened and they got off of it for whatever reason. And there are side effects, man. It's not that there's no cost to it. Right. But again, man, I get it because kids, man.
Yeah.
And I'm not shitting on parents or anything like that.
Well, there is it's like not every child in this world that has ever happened is planned. Right. But when you are not terribly ready to have a kid, you haven't got everything in order. It can, that is quite literally a life-changing situation because it's like you have to alter everything to accommodate the child, and that's if you choose to go forward with it. And I'm not going to get involved in that debate.
I'll be more than happy to, but you know me.
Yeah. Well, go right ahead because on that particular subject, I'm going to go with. Closed mouth gathers no feet.
No, I think you're right, and I think that, and then there's for me, I started going back to therapy, and that discussion came up about kids, and I was very straight with her. I said, generational mental illness. I'm breaking the cycle, and I've had plenty of people tell me that. Oh, Dan, you'd have been a great dad. You've been a great dad. No, I wouldn't have. I would have repeated the sins of my father, as they say, and probably even created some new ones. And I know that nobody's a perfect dad. There's no perfect parent, right? We all fuck up our kids in some different way, at least according to them, we do. But for me, it was, I come from a home with a lot of trauma and a lot of issues. So I did not want to perpetuate that. That was my choice. That said, I see a lot of people that had kids that really never should have, and that's why I say condoms, vasectomies, tubes tied, the pill, it can all be worth it. Because I love the argument against abortion when people are like, you might be aborting the next Albert Einstein. You also might be aborting the next fucking Hitler. I mean, come on. That's a shit argument, right? If a person doesn't
they also don't give a fuck about the kid after it comes out.
Amen, brother. Right? They fight about keeping a woman's ability to choose, but the minute that kid comes out, now you want to talk about welfare and plan, things like that. And they're like, well, now hold on.
His life was important before he was born. Now it's not. Fuck him.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And my favorite part about that is usually those are also people that are hugely in favor of the death penalty. So it's just a question of timing.
Right. Exactly.
We value human life.
until about sometime after puberty,
Until
and then
they
after
steal
that,
something, and then fuck them.
then fuck them.
Yeah.
I go, I'm pro-choice and I'm pro-death penalty, so I'm just like fuck them before and after. I don't care. No, I think it's in the same. You got all these people that are what's the new thing right now? Medical freedom, these people that are saying that you can't force a vaccine on them because it's their body and their choice and all that.
No one's forcing a vaccine on anybody. It's straw man. They're making shit up.
It absolutely is straw man. And when people say, well, I could lose my job, right, because a private company, right, the government has not forced any.
Yeah, you guys jerked off when the fucking bakery was able to turn down a gay dude for his wedding cake, and
there you go.
Now you're on the receiving end and you're pissed off because you're dumb.
Exactly.
Right. And there are no mandates in the sense of, yes, if you're a federal employee, they're stating you have to get in certain parts of the federal government, you have to get a vaccine. And people are saying, oh, my rights, my rights. No. They're at that point, they are your employer, right? They're not your government in that sense. They are an employer.
No, because you cannot get the vaccine if you just quit.
That's right. And you can go somewhere else and you can work somewhere that doesn't require the vaccine. You have
That's that free
choice.
Market, buddy.
There you go, brother.
That's that fucking free market at work right there.
You have the right to go elsewhere. This is not like a government where they're stating, if you don't, you go to jail, right? Or if you don't, we're going to put a bullet in your fucking head.
Well, you get to the point where the discussion ultimately winds up with how your rights relate to everyone else's rights. And for the crowd that is sort of in the anti-vax column, I'm going to throw this one out at you. All right. One of the most precious rights to certain parties is the Second Amendment, and it's your right to bear arms. Okay. I have the right to bear arms, but if I go across the street and shoot him in the face, well, I've deprived him of his right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So my Second Amendment rights don't trump his rights. Therefore, I'm in the wrong. So with this whole medical freedom deal, if you choose not to get vaccinated, you can still infect other people. And this shit goes way, way, way back. I mean, literally, it goes back as far as in American history, all the way to George Washington.
Yep.
Because George Washington, vaccines have been around for a while. It's just always been in different forms. It was infecting somebody else with one thing so they wouldn't get infected with someone else, cowpox versus smallpox. So George Washington made the Continental Army get vaccinated with cowpox so they didn't get smallpox, and there was even a hubbub about it back then. But George Washington was like, I don't give a fuck. You're going to take the vaccine so you don't spread the smallpox to anybody else.
Right. But it's people just want to be pissed off. I saw something yesterday. A guy said, you know what the problem with how do you say it? He said, the problem with most of you people, he does a podcast or a radio show. He says, the problem with most of you people is that you don't have any problems, not any real problems. He said, most of you are listening to this on a $2,000 computer, $1,000 smartphone, $1,000, flat screen TV. And that's something that I've been saying for quite a while now, is that we still have that caveman brain that wants to look for problems and wants to look for threats. And the thing is that the majority of people who are living in America, making a decent wage, really don't have any real problems. They have annoyances, right? I'm thinking of people that Doug and I both in our employment history have had a job where we were in a lot of people's homes. All right. We were repair technicians.
They used to be burglars.
We used to be burglars, but then we got old and fat and we're like, ugh.
And
I
then
don't
we
want
ran into Macaulay Culkin on Christmas.
Macaulay, we just want to tell you we appreciate everything you did for us, buddy.
So which one of you was Joe Pesci?
I think we both know that was me, dude. Come on.
Oh yeah,
I think we both know
angry.
that. Angry short.
Yeah.
But we went into a lot of people's homes, and I'm here to tell you, man, all joking aside, that taught me a lot. Like I did that for a couple of years, and I probably went into, I don't know, we'll average 10 homes a day, um, uh, 5 days a week, right? So, and I did that for about 2 years. So do the math. And I learned a lot, man. I really did. I learned that nobody uses their garages for cars. It's for stuff. It's for more shit, right? They use it for storage.
Like the George Carlin bit where you have to get a bigger house so you have more coverage for all your extra shit that you've acquired.
For your stuff, yeah. And then you take your stuff.
Well, your stuff is stuff, and other people's stuff is shit.
Shit, right. And yes, some people did. But the houses that always affected me the most were the ones where I would go in and it was like a convalescent home, right? You'd have the wife stayed at home with the mother-in-law, right? And the mother-in-law had a room in the back, and it was basically like a little hospital room. There was the respirator and all the machinery and the pills everywhere, and the room was set up so this person could just lay in this bed and stare at a TV all day, right? And there was a vibe when you walked into these homes. It was dark and it was gloomy, and the air. Whenever I'd walk into these houses, it was like the air was sucked out of me. And I feel like those people had problems, right? You had somebody dying of some disease in your home, and these people couldn't go anywhere or do anything as they watched a loved one just deteriorate. Like that's a problem. People that have cancer or they have children with these oddball fucking diseases that can't be cured, and they're just watching their children die, right? Of course, things like starvation and things like that, in the world, obviously too. But I'm talking about kind of your average middle class person. There's a lot of people out there that just everybody's got issues. Everybody's got things that bug them. Everything's got frustrations. But we as a society, man, we're doing pretty good. Doug and I always joke that a couple hundred years ago, a good case of, Taco Bell diarrhea would murder a fucking town.
Oh yeah.
And we don't have things like that. And again, and I don't want anybody, as somebody who deals with mental illness and shit, I don't want to trivialize anyone's challenges. I don't want to trivialize anybody's struggles by any means, but there is perspective too, right? And I think you have to look at that. I had a therapist tell me one time, because I have a bad habit of saying this whole spiel that I'm on right now, and they can say, "Well, Dan, that doesn't mean that your problems or that your issues aren't important." So, and I want to convey that I'm not saying that your struggles aren't important, but keep shit in perspective, man. The fact that you can get up under your own power, wipe your own ass, feed yourself, get in your car that maybe you can or can't afford, and go to the store and do things for yourself. You got to think about that, just kind of my 2 cents. But I think that lack of problems, I think a lot of people look for shit to be angry about. I guess is my whole point of that rant, is people look for stuff to be mad about.
Yeah, but like your worst day and Jeff Bezos' worst day felt the same to both of you.
Absolutely.
Like,
certainly.
Even though they were probably very different days.
Yeah, right. Right. He misplaced $1 billion and I couldn't fucking find my car keys. No, and you're absolutely right. And that's why I wanted that disclaimer at the end, that I'm not trying to trivialize anyone's struggles. I'm really not. And I know it sounds like I am. It's just my bad attempt at reminding people to keep things in perspective.
It's just all sort of relative, with problems, time, space, all relative.
Sure. Yeah.
42.
42, right? Exactly.
But, on the whole, we do have first world problems. Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
and everybody's got their own challenges, of course. And I'm not marginalizing those. I'm just saying overall, as a society, there are places where, as a society, they can't find enough to eat. Yet
Right.
here we have fucking eating competitions to see how
Right.
much you can shove in your face hole.
And
Right.
people order too much shit on Amazon, so now the ports in California are backed up. So
Right.
everyone's freaking out. It's like, dude, like that's our problem. Like we have too much money to spend.
Yeah, they're having a problem making enough boxes to ship the shit in.
And we're
Right.
like, oh, this is fucking terrible. It's the end of the fucking world, dude.
Right.
My Apple Watch is gonna
This
be
is the
late.
apocalypse right here. I was at the store last night and I was looking for. I'm having a hard time kicking my Red Bull habit, and I went to get a case of sugar free Red Bull, and the grocery store that I went to, it's been hit or miss. And last night was a miss. They didn't have any. So, excuse me, I asked the young girl at the checkout, I said, hey, you guys are having a hard time getting the sugar free Red Bull in, huh? And she said, yeah. She said, we're actually having trouble getting a lot of different things in. She said, but anything in a can, right? And I had heard before there was, I think, Diet Mountain Dew or one of the things that all of us drink. Same thing. It wasn't the liquid itself. It's the
Mm-hmm.
cans to put it in.
Yeah.
And the reason that it's affecting certain things like sugar-free Red Bull is that more people drink regular Red Bull. So they reduce the cans that they're using to put sugar-free Red Bull in. It's funny because when she said that, I thought a couple of weeks ago, I went into a 7-Eleven to just grab a single Red Bull, sugar-free. And I grabbed the last two they had. And the woman says, oh, you got the last two, huh? She said, man, we've just had a really hard time keeping those in. And it kind of all clicked in my head. But
there was a can shortage like a year ago too, wasn't there?
yeah, I think that's kind of where
is it
it's
the
still,
same thing?
It's
yeah,
still
I think
sort
it's
of
all kind
ongoing.
of the same. Yeah. And
it
it's just, COVID production. You can't smash people into these factories to crank stuff out. They got to spread them apart. So they slow the machines down. If you've ever worked in a factory, I have. And that's, it's just kind of where it goes. If you have fewer people to move stuff around, etc., then you just got to slow the machines down.
On I Love Lucy, they sped the machine up.
But then they were eating all the chocolate or trying to. So, I mean, and you're not allowed to reference I Love Lucy because it happened before you were born. We've had this discussion.
How did I see it? Damn,
yeah, if it happens before you were born, it just doesn't exist to you, apparently. I think that's how people feel about fucking world history sometimes.
Lucille Ball could get it, though, back in her day.
Back in her day. Yeah, now it would be a little bit creepy.
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah, it's and I get it. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, from a company point of view, they're like, we can make Diet Mountain Dew or Diet whatever, just so that it's out there for Dan, or we could make
this is the Dan line over here. We make one case a week.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Just for Dan. We drop it off at his house like it's a fucking milk delivery.
or we could make more of the thing that people are buying and keeping us in business.
Yeah, you can't
whenever I go to get something and they're like, yeah, COVID shortage, whatever. It's like, okay, And I even told the little girl, I said, I laughed and I said, I need to quit bitching about it. I said, it's not like I'm going hungry. Because I still, I had some eggs and different things in my cart. So it's like I can still get food, right? We're not, right, we're not third world here at this point. It's just an inconvenience while we're in the middle of a global pandemic. So again, adjusting my perspective a little bit to go, okay.
Yeah.
I'll grab two of these bigger cans and I'll spend a little extra money and I'll drink it this way. Yeah, sure. It's frustrating and inconvenient. And I have to spend a little more money because I can't get it in bulk or whatever.
I like bottles more anyway, but they're low on those too lately.
It's pretty much any of that stuff. And again, like I said, it just kind of it boils down. What's interesting to me though, and Lord knows that I have a, pattern recognition problem, but I find it fascinating.
A pattern
of what?
just pattern recognition in general, but I see a pattern in the way that the pandemic is slowing down production and things like that. It makes you realize just how fragile a lot of the constructs, the systems in place that we either don't think about or just assume are always there are being affected, right? And
Yeah.
it's just a reminder that if you get too comfortable with that kind of stuff, it's I don't know. I don't know how to verbalize
Well,
it really or articulate it. What I'm trying to
okay.
say.
Well, let's look at it like this. Now, COVID has changed a lot of things. And what we are seeing is a shift in uh, people's behaviors. And then what it has exposed is how little flexibility is built into the system.
There you
It's
go.
not very adaptable.
Right.
And that's on the whole.
But
When
it didn't
you
have to be. Like, you wouldn't spend money on something you didn't need to.
yeah,
As a
I-
yeah, you mean as a manufacturer and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, like if
Right.
you're running
right.
supply chain, you're not going
No.
to spend a bunch of extra money on something that no one ever thinks
some
is going
sort
to
of
happen.
right, for some sort of redundancy system. And I agree with you on that. And I'm not really focusing on that as much as I am the reveal of the fact that, like, I've always kind of known that because I worked in intermodal transportation, all those steamship containers. I used to manage that.
You stowed
And
away in one
I
in
stowed away in one.
2003, and now you're like, I used to work in intermodal.
I managed it. I managed not pooping everywhere and only in the corner. And I've worked in factories, and I've watched how it works. And yeah, it's just kind of one of those things like the old Bugs Bunny cartoons where he throws a wrench into the machine and he just, and it's just a reminder that if you, I don't know, I'm
I
not
think
trying
if you work anywhere,
go ahead.
sorry, if you work anywhere though, you start to realize like how wrong the general public is about how robust some things are, especially in tech.
Yes.
Like if you're watching like Netflix, say, and you think they have some giant system in the background that'll never fail, and then you go to work there, I guarantee it's bubblegum and duct tape in the fucking background.
And 100 people running around, like the scene from Airplane where they're all just running around the control tower. That's exactly right. And I guess that's just something that I've always been hyper focused on. Like I see
Right.
that, and I think, and I'm not saying everybody needs a bug out bag and one of those buckets of MREs, but at any moment we could see societal collapse. And I'm not saying that you got to sit around worrying about it all the time. Just be aware of it. I guess be aware of it, and when you can't go get your sugar-free Red Bull, Karen, calm the fuck down, right? Because we're still in a pretty good position, and there are some relatively strong systems in play, but it's all kind of bullshit. I guess
Well,
I'm a nihilist. I mean, so it happens. I get like this sometimes, but it's all kind of bullshit.
Well,
my
everything is
opinion.
designed for what's required or what's required at the moment.
The bare minimum requirements, I think.
Right, because it doesn't. Just like we'll take snow for example. Let's say northern Florida gets snow. We'll say the Panhandle.
Sure.
There's some weird winter thing. It drops down.
We saw this in Alabama.
Right, and they get snow. I'm just trying to use a slightly more extreme example.
Sure, so people understand.
Right. So that one snow event that may occur once every 20 years, their Department of Transportation is not going to invest in $250 million worth of snow removal gear if they have snow once every 20 years.
It's not worth it.
Stay the fuck home.
Yeah.
It is literally cheaper for them to say, stay the fuck home.
And we saw that in Alabama, that exact thing happened. There was a weird winter storm. There was a lot of ice and snow. People were killed, because they didn't know how the fuck to handle it. And the state of Alabama basically just said, stay the fuck home.
Right.
This will pass. Calm down. But you're exactly right. And it was because I had people, I'm originally from Ohio, and I had people teasing, making jokes. And that's exactly what I told them. Well, I mean, you know, there's no reason to have 200 more trucks that would just sit every 18
Yeah,
years,
it's useless.
right, to pop out. But we all do that, right? I mean,
Right.
we
And
all do that to some degree. Like a lot of people have a bare minimum insurance because the chances of them getting into an accident they feel are low. So why do I need all this insurance?
And if you save money on insurance every year, and then you have to pay for something catastrophic, maybe in the US they'll gouge you and you'll get fucked and you'll be in debt forever, but like there's also a certain point where it'll pay for itself.
Right. The amount that you didn't pay, what is it, bonding, I think, where you can just put up a certain chunk of cash. You either have to have insurance or like a certain bond. And some companies will just bond because it's cheaper to do that for that very reason, you know. But then at the same time, and I know that you guys are kind of like me, let's say like snow tires, for instance. You could do the bare minimum. You could just do all weather, just the cheapest tire that they make, right? And I did that for a lot of years. But now, what do? You buy a slightly better tire, right? Doug, you just bought tires for the bike, and you didn't just say, "Give me the cheapest fucking tires there
Yeah, I
are."
want retreads on this bitch.
Right? Exactly. Good old retreads.
yeah,
You said,
no.
okay, and you balanced, right? You said, okay, I don't want the most expensive
Well, if you don't
necessarily.
balance it when you're going down the road, they'll start wobbling on you.
God damn it,
You'll
low
have air
hanging
pocket.
fruit. I
You'll have
know,
air
I
pocket in
know.
them.
I mean, I lob them up there. I gotta expect you to swing. It's like a dog and a tennis ball. Um, so there's a balance there that you in between what I can afford, what is reasonable, and companies do that too, right? I mean,
Yeah,
because
they're
a
Of
just going
company,
course.
for practicality.
right, and profit. I mean, a company's whole point of existing, folks, I know you would love to think that the manufacturer, whatever product you love, did it for the love of their customers, but they didn't. They did it to turn a profit. And I think there's a lot of different ways to turn a profit. I think you can turn a profit on quality, quantity. Quantity seems to be the way that people are going these days. Just try getting something repaired. Companies are like, nah, fam, we'll just give you another one. I think there's a lot of ways to make profit, but at the end of the day, the company is there to make a profit. And if they can't make a profit, what the fuck is the point in the long hours and the, strategy and everything else?
I love when a company goes public and then everyone's like, do they only care about stock price? Yeah, that's literally the only thing that matters at this point because they're public.
Because they're public. You got to keep that stock price
Is
up,
that all
turn a
they care
profit.
about is just fucking making more and more money?
Yep.
Let me explain something to you. When I like create a 401k, right? And they start investing my money into stock, I don't enjoy it when that number goes down. I like to make money on my 401k.
So if they're like, "Hey, Adam, we're sorry you lost $10,000,
But
but
we made
this
a really cool
company,
product for the
this
betterment
com-
of our customers, and
right, this
they're gonna
company
love it."
really loves their customer base." Yeah, I mean, it is. That's hey man, that's capitalism, and it may not be
Yeah,
perfect, but it's not the worst system in the world. You're encouraging people to build things the better mousetrap, right? The thing that people are going to want. I think it's important to care about your customers as far as their relation to your product, and I think their mental health and their health in general, right? If you create a product that keeps murdering your customer base, that's bad. And
Unless
I
you're Facebook or
and
Instagram.
that's where I was heading with this. Yeah, you saw where I was turning the wheel. You
Yep.
saw where the bumper was pointing. And then you get into things like like Facebook. Again, I mentioned I'd started counseling again, therapy, and um, so I'm kind of looking at things different again. And Instagram, Facebook, all of it. I'm 46 years old, and cisgender male, white, right? Just checking the boxes here so people know where I'm coming from. And I sometimes get wrapped up in the Jesus, what have I done with my life? Look at these beautiful people, whatever. But started playing on TikTok recently because there's a lot of really funny shit on there. and the filters. But you know what I noticed? This is kind of interesting. Snapchat and TikTok, at least, actually puts a little badge, excuse me, on the video or the picture or whatever, if it has a filter applied.
Yeah, so you can reuse that filter.
Is that what it is? So that
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
so like, oh, you like this? Here, like you can click the badge and then you can use that filter if you like it.
Okay. See, I kind of saw that differently. I was hoping that's the optimist. Doug once
Yeah.
described me as a basically a crossed idealist, or somebody that had been hurt
Well,
as an optimist, and he's
you're a
right.
broken optimist.
A broken
Yeah,
optimist, and he's absolutely right.
That's like, hey, you're like, hey, everything's gonna be great, and then you got out. Well, you
Got
really
into the
didn't even
world.
got it. This isn't even got out into the world. You got this sunshiny attitude. You have your parents, and then the
Yep.
world on top of that, and it was like it was a collective beatdown on Dan, and then a broken optimist becomes a
A nihilist and a pessimist and an angry little
yes,
fucker.
yeah,
Wow, I
with
didn't.
just this weird little layer of optimist icing that's buried under there somewhere. I mean, you got to
Why am
dig to
I?
get to it, but you'll find it eventually.
Why am I paying my therapist $150 a fucking session, man? I just go to Doug and buy him some sushi. Um, there's as an optimist, I kind of hoped that what they were doing was helping people realize
No.
that
No.
I
Adam's like,
think you
no.
went off the rails at helping people.
So
I
on
think
Yeah, I
you
know.
stopped
A
right
little
there.
responsibility. That's all I'm asking from these companies, man. A little responsibility.
on Snapchat, if you're really smart, you can make your own filter and like submit it as like an item that people can use, and then you kind
Okay.
of get popular off of people using
Sure,
your
sure.
filter and stuff
I see
like
what you're
that.
saying.
So
Yeah, so it's just another way of fucking hooking people. And man,
yeah,
the filters, the filters are fucking amazing, man. The video filters. I've got a friend. She
I like
uses.
the real time augmented reality shit. Is
Oh,
that what you're talking about?
yeah. She's got like she basically puts her makeup on with this filter, and it does. She was showing me. She put her hand in front of her eye, and the filter knew where the eye was based on where the other one was, but you could see her eyelashes on her hand, right, and like the makeup and stuff. So I can usually spot a filter. I think years of doing Photoshop, especially like skin tone. When I see certain skin tone, I'm like, nah, bruh. That's
You have no pores.
you
What the
have no
fuck? You're
pores.
not a human, or it's a
Yeah.
filter.
And I've seen some people that can do that with makeup, like because it's like spackle, it gets in there and fills all that out.
Oh, when they do the contour and they just fucking get the fucking spackle blade and
Yeah, and they
spread
they
it on.
basically spackle it in, and then they do the contour over it. It's makeup in and of itself is fascinating to me. I
Sorry,
love
that's
watching.
fun.
I've
Spackle it
watched
in.
spackle it in. I've watched a ton of makeup tutorials. Dudes doing makeup like women, like drag queens. I watch all that shit because it is absolutely fascinating to me to watch a human being use colors and shading to completely restructure their face. Now, you can get into the argument of, um, you know, I have a friend, she dyes her hair and she wears green contacts, right? Is she being fake and phony?
No,
Ugh, that's the thing, right?
because her hair will still be dyed and her contacts will still be in when you're plowing her. So like,
Right? There's some truth
people
to
are
that.
like,
Actually.
well, she's not real. It's not real. It's like, well, it's there. Like, it's physically real, right? So like, it's not like she pulls all that shit out. And it's like, oh, nah, I can't do that now.
Well, but let me ask you, like, okay, why do I shave my head? I mean, if you really want to get into, if something makes you feel better about yourself, if it helps
Yeah.
you to present yourself to the world, right? You're losing weight, partially because you want to be healthy, but partially because you don't like the way you look. You look at yourself and you go, ugh, I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
like
the
a
same
person tall and then I'm like a truck wide. Part of that is just how I'm made,
Yeah,
like
you're a
bone
stocky.
wise,
Yeah, you're a
but I'm
stocky
also
dude,
fat. So
and I'm also fat. I work out because I like the aesthetic of it too, right? I like the aesthetic of what my body looks like when I work out. I shave my head because if I let my hair grow out, I look like a fucking child molester.
well, it's the van, really.
The
It's the
van that
van
says
that you
free
drive around
candy.
town.
I'm trying to get that
I know
painted.
you think it's funny, but people are getting concerned in the neighborhood.
It is kind of funny though. Doug started cutting his hair shorter because it's thinner and gray. We do
No,
things.
Doug started cutting his hair shorter because when Doug tried to make a barber's appointment and they told me it was going to be 6 weeks, I was like, hello, Amazon
But you were
Clippers.
cutting no, because you were cutting your hair shorter at the barber prior to that too. And when I asked you, because I pulled out that old picture of us in one of the data
Oh,
centers,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
and
When
it
I
was long and
had,
kind of boyish,
right.
and you were like, dude, it's getting thinner, it's getting grayer, and you just started having it right. You've been kind of clipping it more lately for that reason, but you had started cutting it short
Yeah.
because you thought it looked better, and that's what I mean, and
Well,
that's okay.
what it was is because my hairline was receding back, as happens in
Oh,
male
I feel
pattern
you.
baldness. What was happening is the sides of my hair on the top left and top right, when I looked in the mirror, it started to look like these weird fucking hair horns, and I'm like, I don't like this shit. It looks fucked up.
Oh, I know the hair horns you're talking about, brother. That's what I said. Mine, I don't have male pattern. I've still got hair back there, but I have an incredible receding hairline. And I have this little patch I call the island that
In the
pops
front of
up.
your head?
I have
Yep.
that. And I let my hair grow out once just out of laziness, man. And, and I was like, I look like a fucking child molester. I look like some creepy old dude that meanders around a grocery store freaking people out. So it's like, and I have not tried to grow my hair out. I am incredibly fortunate that my skull has a shape that
Mine
allows me
doesn't.
to. I know plenty of people like
Mine
that. They
doesn't.
shave
I
their
buzzed
head.
mine once and I was like, "Oh my fucking god, dude." Cuz I have thick hair, like I have a really thick head of hair. And one of my uncles, it's my great uncle, I guess, my grandpa's brother. He used to have hair just like mine. Like they say I look just like him when he was a young man. And he's fucking slick now. And I'm like, "Fuck. Fuck." I'm just going to have
Yeah.
to it's hat life for me, I guess.
It's hat life for me. You buzz it down short. A lot of guys still keep like the Caesar ring, and even the horns and stuff like that. But all the articles I've read and like hairstylists and stuff tell you, as you start to lose your hair, cut that shit short. Right. The guy
No,
with
no, no, no. I'm gonna cling on to it,
right, do the Caesar ring, but it goes down to your shoulders.
and then I like swoop it over.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
People who do
no
that,
one
I'm
will
just
tell.
like, I'm
Oh,
like,
my
bruh. I'm like,
my
shave that shit.
favorite hairdo is the people with the standard male pattern baldness, and they're getting deep into it, and then they decide, okay, while I still have this last little bit of hair left, they grow it out really long, but only in the back, so it's sort of the bald mullet. That's
Yeah.
that's that's my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the one you're talking about, and it
I
looks
love it.
trashy. So
I
see, that's a
love
perfect
it. Dude.
right, and that is a perfect example of why I don't get wound up when a woman dyes her hair or wears contacts or a push-up
Well,
bra.
that's dudes' faults for thinking with their dick.
It is. See, and that's exactly again my friend we were
She
talking to.
looks real good. Fuck her. It's fake. It's like what you. That's if she wouldn't do that. I mean, maybe it makes her feel better, but for the most
No,
part, like it's
she's
because
doing that to kind of
that's what you want to
conform.
see.
Yeah, she's doing that to conform to society's expectations of what we say a woman. When you've got these chicks on Instagram with their perfect asses and perfect faces, and I'm doing air
And the
quotes
warped
here.
door frame in the background.
Thank you. Right? And that's why I am so anti-filter. Again, I give my friends shit about using filters, and I'm like, you're not ugly. Um, so I don't understand why you're using all these filters, but you understand that as a woman, I think you have a responsibility to every fucking 16-year-old girl that's popping onto fucking Instagram. Yes, I said it. You have a responsibility to help their fucking mental health. We all have a responsibility to try to help other people with their mental health because the fucking medical industry isn't going to do it. The insurance industry ain't going to fucking do it. So we have to do it. And all I'm saying is don't use filters. Like if you're using the cat ear filter and the demon eye filters, fuck, I've done that because some of them are
No, no,
goddamn
no, no, no. Fuck
hilarious.
that. I thought that was real,
I thought that was right.
and
And
I
now
was duped.
I don't have demon eyes, and that gave me an
I do
issue.
not have cat ears and a tail.
Well, while we're on the subject and then talking about fake stuff, I have a point of view which some people may or may not like.
Oh, I know what's coming.
I don't like it.
All right.
I don't like it.
When people talk about breast augmentation,
Yeah, I knew it.
and they call it, these are fake. No,
No, they're not.
Okay.
No, they're not.
If you take off your bra and your titties go with it, those are fake. Now, if you take off your bra and you've got titties there and I can touch them, they are now real.
No, you're right.
Those are not imaginary titties.
No, you're right.
They may be augmented titties,
right,
but they're not imaginary titties.
A padded bra is probably faker than
man, I've been duped so many times.
Breast implants. Yeah. I mean, because you're right.
Duped.
If they take the bra off, and yes, they're augmented, they're not naturally born with those, but you're right. They stay there when the bra comes off, So
I mean, if I'm hanging out with a chick and I know she wears falsies, I'm like, well, if you're going to do that, I'm going to tape a summer sausage to the inside of my leg. So we match.
I get my gray sweatpants and my sock out and see what I can catfish. But see
how many ladies you can disappoint,
right? Exactly, because that's the thing. I was just having this conversation with a woman. I said, under promise and over deliver. I mean, be the chick that wears the t-shirts and the jeans. Be
the AT&T lady,
right? Yeah, exactly. And when she wears something form fitting, like you see the AT&T lady, what's funny? I just discovered recently that she is the one that has been toning down her boobs in those commercials. It wasn't AT&T because she actually produces all those commercials. She is the director, producer, and all that. And I read an article on her, and she was saying that it was just the comments she was getting, and because she's seen by a lot of people, and people. Yeah, she's seen by a lot of motherfuckers in those commercials, and it draws in a lot of nut jobs, and so that's why you don't see her. But for those of you that aren't familiar, the AT&T commercials, the cute little petite woman in those commercials, who's also, I think, very charming in those commercials. If you notice, she has a very large chest. And if you look her up and you find her wearing, there's a picture of her in like this corset kind of thing. She's very well endowed in that area. And when she did the commercials originally, the very first commercials, you can tell that more in the shirt she's wearing and stuff like that. Because of internet comments.
Oh, they're bringing it back though. They're bringing the tits back.
She started to squish them down, I hope she does.
The most recent ones are like, okay, she's leaning into it now.
Lean into it. I mean, absolutely. That is her body. That's the thing, is that ogling someone's tits and making them uncomfortable about it is the same as telling a chick she's flat chested and making her feel uncomfortable about that. It's still body shaming, right? If somebody's skinny, if they're too skinny, they're too skinny. If they're too fat, they're too fat. It's like, Jesus, fuck on a cracker, dude. Excuse me.
Social media caused people to do that.
I think, but it's always been there. I don't think social media caused it. It just gave them a vehicle to do it anonymously and without any eye contact.
Well, you see more people now.
Efficiently.
More efficiently, yeah.
You can do it to 800 people a day now instead of just 4.
Right. Yeah. And as well as
because
I do. Because
there were magazines and shit before that where but it's just now the delivery system is more efficient and more immediate.
Do you know why women in the U.S., why most women in the U.S. are so back, maybe the 20s, I think it was, might have even been before that. Was it Bic razors or Schick or whoever was around back then? Anyway, they ran a campaign about shaving your legs because women weren't using razors, only men were. They weren't selling as many. And someone said, how can we get women to buy razors? And they started talking about shaving their legs. And everyone thought it was this cool, awesome European thing. And it was like, not really? No.
Same thing with the Michelin stars. It's the tire company. And they wanted you to go out to eat more and burn your tires up.
Isn't that fucking weird?
Yeah.
That's just fucking weird to me.
Capitalism's strange.
I don't know. Capitalism is strange.
We're at an hour, boys.
Well, I say
Click
good
the
place
button.
to stop.
Hey, don't forget that you can email us at the Bullshirt Podcast, at gmail.com. And we're on YouTube, so you can go there and comment and tell us how
Tell
fucking
us
awesome
mean
we are.
things. Shit on me a little bit.
Shit on me a little bit. Step on my cubes.
Yeah. Give us the Melania Vaintrub treatment and talk about our big mommy milkers or whatever the fuck they were calling it.
Hell yeah. She flashed the hot dog vendor.